Layers can be locked in AutoCAD, as we've mentioned previously in previous exercises on this course. Now, let's have a look at locking layers in a bit more detail. Why are they of benefit to you? Well, the first thing is you can lock your layers to stop people editing information on the drawing that you don't want to be edited. So, for example, we've got our circle there. I don't want that circle to be edited. So what I can do there is I can go to the layer pull down here. I've got the lock option there on the layer pull down. I've also got layer properties. I've got the lock option there as well. So I'm going to lock the circles layer in the layer properties manager. Now, when I close the layer properties manager, you'll notice that circle looks faded. Now remember, in the layer properties manager, you've got this tool here where you click on the little spanner or wrench there, and you've got this lock and fade option. Now, you'll notice you can switch that off in the paper space viewport. You can actually switch that layer off if you want to, if it's locked in the paper space viewports. Now, we'll look at that in a bit more detail maybe later on, but the main one is the lock and fade. Lock and fade there is set to 50%. That is the default value. So what I'll do, I'll OK that there on the menu, and I'll close the layer properties manager. Now that is now locked, that layer there. I'm also going to lock the polyline layer as well. Now the polyline layer is the current layer. Now watch what happens when I try and lock it. If I lock that one there, it's locked and the current layer is locked. So I can still draw objects on a locked layer. Watch. I can still go to, let's say, the rectangle command here, and I can draw a rectangle, but it's automatically locked. Can you see that there? It's locked. I can't edit that now because it's on a locked layer. The line layer, though, is actually unlocked. So I could click on that line and I could use that grip there. I could click on that grip there and perhaps take that line to that corner there instead. Hit escape to deselect. As you can see, I've edited that line object because it's not locked. If I try and select this one here, like so, and use the layer pull down perhaps and change it to, let's say, the circles layer, even though it's not a circle, you'll see I can't do that because it's on a locked layer. Now, that's one way of locking your objects down on your drawing to stop people editing them. What I'm going to do, I'm going to unlock those layers now. So I'll just quickly click on the padlocks there and unlock those on the layer pull down. Now there's another way where you can lock layers off so that you don't accidentally click on them when you're editing. And you can use the Isolate tool, which is a new feature to AutoCAD 2011. It's very, very cool as well. Watch. I've got an object there. It's a rectangle that I've drawn freehand, yeah? If I select it by clicking on it once and then right click, on the shortcut menu, I've got the Isolate option. Now I can either isolate that object so it's the only object I can see on the screen, or I can physically hide that object on the screen. Now if I hide objects, it hides that one object selected. It's not layer specific, it's object specific, which is actually quite clever when you think about it, because what that allows me to do is isolate one object, let me work in a specific area, and then bring it back. So now, how do I bring that object back? I select this object here, and I right click, and I select Isolate, and I end the object isolation, and I can select any object to do that, and it brings back the object that was isolated. Now the other way that I can do this is I can actually isolate the one object that I want to work on, which might be, for example, my circle. I can click there, right click, isolate, and I'll isolate the circle, and that's the only object I can see. So now I'm working just on my circle. If again I right click on the circle there, isolate, and end the object isolation, it brings all the other objects back. It's a way of, I suppose, freezing, thawing, locking. It's all of them combined, and it allows you to work in isolation on a specific group of objects or a single object without affecting other objects on the drawing. A useful tool that can be combined very, very easily with locking your layers in AutoCAD.